The Earth was covered with a blood-red sky, and perhaps it's now imminent before Nibiru appears in the sky. A couple of years back, it was a Sunday morning. It was winter, and it was around, what time was it? It was around 6:15 in the morning. I was getting ready to pick up the priest to go to the church for Holy Liturgy, and we saw the color of the sky being just like this picture in on the west, in the direction of the west, that is where the setting sun is. So it was not at all, it was too early even for the sun to be up because it was the beginning of March, and it was a cold winter's day, and this was in the western sky. As we know, the sun rises in the east, and we were wondering what that was. No sound, it wasn't flickering, it was a steady light. And to this day, I still don't know what that was. So this was a very mysterious thing. On the evening of November 5th, 2023, a G3 class magnetic storm occurred on Earth, causing strange auroras around the world. How strange they were is demonstrated by the photo from Turkey, Italy, and Greece, as well as numerous Balkan countries, the southernmost countries of Europe, where there have been no northern lights, especially crimson ones, since the times of ancient Rome. The atypical for the European region optical phenomenon was also noticed in several regions of Ukraine. And recently, the extremely rare red aurora phenomenon gave an unprecedented sight to the residents of many countries, giving them the opportunity to experience images resembling a huge fiery front, an extremely rare phenomenon, which becomes visible in the first time as far as the Balkan countries, and eventually became visible also as far as Greece. The cause, according to the first estimates, was an extremely strong solar flare, which had the effect of noting a particularly strong geomagnetic storm that is underway over the northern hemisphere. Statistically, it's practically the scientifically impossible of northern lights reaching the southernmost latitudes of the northern hemisphere, as it's generally an event only visible in the Nordic countries, as they are closer to the North Pole. And yet, for the first time, the northern lights became visible in almost the entire old continent, thus creating images of unique beauty, but one would also say to a certain extent it was very eerie. On the same evening, on November 5th, bloody northern lights were also observed in a number of regions in Ukraine. Scientists have previously warned that the Earth is experiencing the peak effects of a recent solar flare, and our planet is covered by powerful geomagnetic storms. They would last until the end of the day and can seriously affect our health. In addition, auroras would appear in places where they particularly do not exist, and electronics may malfunction. They claim that this effect has a physical nature similar to the northern lights. In 1859, a phenomenon known as the Carrington event occurred. The sun hit so hard that northern lights were observed even down to Cuba. Cuba is located at the latitude of Mexico, on the border with which there was a bizarre crown of lights recently. And thus the aurora was so bright that it was visible even in daytime. If at the same time, if not the Carrington event, but at least half or even a quarter of it had happened, such a migration of auroras could be explained and understood, but there was nothing. Therefore, if auroras migrate so much to the south and even turn red, which indicates a very deep passage of radiation into the atmosphere, one might think that something is wrong with the planet's magnetic field. This field practically does not exist, and no one knows really how it will end. There is no historic experiential data. Maybe the planet's core will stop rotating, maybe it will change polarity and all people will become deranged, turning into mindless zombies. However, this is all reasoning within the framework of generally accepted paradigms. More broadly, we have no evidence that auroras were observed on the evening of November 5th, and everything could be completely different. About a month ago, notification appeared in conspiracy circles that there that in 3 to 4 weeks the so-called lighting up event would occur, which would be associated with the heating of matter in the Nibiru system and its shells. In NASA telescopes, this system now looks like this. The strange band, which is supposedly resembling a protoplanetary disk, is possibly heating up like a comet, and in a couple of weeks it will appear with a bright glow that will no longer be hidden, and the whole sky will turn red both during day and night, and even more so at night. It may well be that the middle of the month will experience the same lighting up event, or even the 3 days of darkness. The nuclear winter scenario. There is another opinion suggesting that the arrival of Nibiru and the global processes currently taking place are somehow interconnected, and although at the moment Nibiru cannot be seen by anyone from the balcony in the evening, long-term webcam monitoring brings curious results. The news comes from Florida about the sightings of strange sunsets. The sun sets there in the west as it should, illuminating the sky above the horizon, but meanwhile something strange is rising from across the sea. In the UK, for some reason, the sky is illuminated with a bright yellow tint. This may be caused by atmospheric deposition. At first glance, there are no apparent signs of something sensational. We've all seen double suns multiple times before, but let's take a closer look here. We see on the water and on the wet sand the reflection of a second sun is clearly visible, so this is not a camera flare, not an atmospheric play. There really is something there, and unfortunately this is an astronomical question at the least. The incomprehensible leaders who rule over our world know everything very well. For some years now, they have been actively spraying chemicals to fight global warming. For some reason, the arrival of the second star in the system could be hidden from people, but the process is underway and the question arises, are we seeing the appearance of a new star in the solar system? Will scientists try to hide all this from people again? Could nuclear winter be a responsible option for Nibiru's disguise? This is from Solask. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.